Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like you didn't know who you were anymore? Like somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. Not all at once, but piece by piece. This is the story of a man who forgot his name and how losing everything made him find himself again. His name was Ishan, at least that's what people used to call him. But lately he'd stopped responding to it because every time someone said Ishan, he didn't feel like that name belonged to him anymore. He used to be an artist. He used to paint until his hands were covered in color and his heart felt light. But somewhere between survival and fear, he traded his colors for numbers, a corporate job, a corner desk, a quiet resignation. Years passed. He stopped painting. He stopped dreaming. He stopped being Ishan. One winter evening, he was walking home after work. The sky was heavy with fog, and his mind was heavier with regret. As he passed a small alley, he noticed a little boy sketching on the wall with chalk, a tiny figure in worn shoes, lost in his own world of color. Ishan slowed down. Something about that boy felt familiar. The same messy hair, the same spark. He watched silently as the boy drew a sunrise, a bright orange circle against the gray wall. "Why are you drawing that?" Ishan asked softly. The boy didn't look up. He kept drawing and said, "Because it's dark now." "Someone has to bring the sun." That sentence hit Ishan like lightning. He looked at the boy, a stranger, and yet somehow a mirror of the boy he used to be. That night Ishan couldn't sleep. He kept hearing those words, "Someone has to bring the sun." The next morning on impulse, he opened the old drawer in his room, and there it was, a dusty wooden box of brushes and colors. Unopened for years, his hands trembled as he lifted the lid. It felt like touching a piece of his soul again. He placed a blank canvas on the table, but when he tried to paint, nothing came. No ideas, no inspiration, just silence. He stared at that blank canvas for hours, and for the first time, he realized what had happened. He hadn't lost his art, he'd lost his courage. So he made himself a promise. "I'll paint one line a day. No matter what, just one line." The next day he painted one, a small blue streak across white emptiness. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Day after day, one line at a time, he began to feel alive again. It became his morning ritual, a quiet rebellion against the version of himself he no longer wanted to be. Weeks turned into months. He kept painting before work. He didn't tell anyone. It was his secret, his therapy, his confession. Then one morning while heading to the office, he saw that same boy again, drawing on the wall, humming a tune. Ishan smiled and said, "You're still bringing the sun?" The boy grinned. "Someone has to." Ishan handed him a small piece of paper, a print of one of his new paintings. The boy's eyes widened. "This is yours?" Ishan nodded. The boy whispered, "It looks like hope." That night, Ishan went home and cried, not from sadness, but from recognition. He realized that even if no one ever saw his art, it still mattered, because it made him remember who he was. Months later, his small collection of paintings filled an entire room. Every canvas told a story of pain, fear, and rediscovery. A friend visited one day, saw the paintings, and said, "You should share these. People need this." Ishan hesitated. He didn't paint for attention. He painted for survival. But something inside him said, maybe someone out there has forgotten their name too. So he agreed to display them in a small local exhibition. Nothing fancy, just a quiet corner in an art cafe. The night of the exhibition, he stood in the back, watching people look at his work. And then he heard it, a young woman whispering through tears, "This one feels like my life." That moment broke something open inside him, because he realized his pain had turned into someone else's healing. And in that instant, he remembered his name again. "I'm Ishan," he whispered under his breath. "I'm the one who brings the sun." Time passed. Ishan left his corporate job. He started teaching art to underprivileged children, kids who'd forgotten how to dream. Every morning he'd tell them the same words the boy once told him. "When it's dark, someone has to bring the sun." And every time he said it, he felt alive. Maybe you've lost something too. A dream, a fire, a part of yourself you once loved. Maybe you've forgotten your own name. Not the one the world calls you, but the one your soul remembers. If that's you, listen closely. It's not too late. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin, one line at a time, one brave step each day. Because you're not truly lost. You're just waiting to remember. And one day when you least expect it, you'll look at yourself. And one day when you least expect it, you'll look at yourself and realize, you found your name again. Start today. Not when you're ready, not when the world says it's time. Start today, because someone out there needs your light to find their way home. Bring the sun.